In this lecture, we're going to create the sidebar menu, which you see right here. This is going to be accessible every time users will tap on this hamburger icon on top of the screen. Alright, so we're just going to get rid of this so that we can start from scratch. First thing to do is duplicate the screen here with Alt and click and drag. Then in the layers panel, we're just gonna unlock these two layers and then select all of these layers included in the artboard, and we're going to hit Command L to lock them all, as you can see here. So we're doing this so that none of them are selectable, whatever actions we take on top. So now we're gonna create a rectangle which is gonna go over this. We're gonna change the fill to black and remove the border. Oops. And we're going to tune down the opacity to about 40%. And actually what we can do now is go back to our layers panel and unlock all the layers so that we can group them in one unique folder called background layers. And then we're gonna lock it all so that all of this is not movable anymore. Okay, so now rectangle tool again, and we're going to create a new rectangle about 280 pixels wide, and we're going to lock it as well. Now we're gonna select the ellipse tool. We're gonna create our little placeholder for the user photo that we're gonna have here. 90 pixels is fine. We're just gonna change the fill to a random color, change the border, move it all the way to the top, and move it down to about 35 pixels. Make sure it's centered. Yeah. Okay, so now we're gonna add a little picture here, which we already saved. We can find it in Finder, this picture here. This time I'm not just gonna drag it in the middle of the shape because I want to select the portion of the picture which is gonna be visible. So I'm just going to drag it out somewhere outside of our artboard, like here. I'm gonna get this and drag it into our artboard, and then I'm gonna select this picture, and then with the Shift key I'm gonna select also the ellipse which is in the background, and then Object, and we're gonna select Mask with Shape. And as you can see, the photo is masked by the circle that we have in the background. And now I can choose which part of the photo I want to be visible in the middle of the circle. If I want, I can also resize the photo or decrease the size of it, but for now I'm fine with the size we have. So I'm gonna just select the very center of the girl's face, and I think this looks good. Okay, so now we're gonna add the username here, just a random name. Change to Lato, increase the size a little bit, and use a light font size, font weight, and we're gonna use our dark gray as usual for important text. Now we're going to duplicate this text, Alt click and drag. I'm gonna make it much smaller to about, actually let's first put it in bold, and we put it down to 11 pixels, and we're gonna use our pink and center it. Move them up a little bit maybe. Alright, now we can draw a little line here as a separator, about this size. Let's center it and put down the opacity about this, and let's position it properly. So we put it all the way till here and then move it down 10, 20, 30, let's say 40 pixels. Actually, yeah, 30 looks better. Okay, so now we're gonna start creating the menu items for our navigation menu. So we're gonna start by grabbing some icons here, and we're gonna get it from an icon font which is called the Font Awesome. You can find it on this website here, and it's pretty cool because you can basically install a certain font on your machine, and by copying and pasting all of these icons here into your application, you're just gonna generate an icon which is completely vectorial, and you're gonna be able to resize it and use it in whichever way you want. So in our case, we're just gonna need an icon for the browse menu item, and in this case we're probably gonna need some users in the icon. So we have one right here at the bottom where there's a bunch of users, and the only thing we need to do is to select it and then copy it, come back to Xd, use our text tool, and just paste it as normal text. As you can see, there's this little icon which is a bit weird, and it probably tells you that there's no font corresponding to this character. So you just come back here and change the font to Font Awesome, which we previously installed on our machine. And here it is. We have our icon here, which, by the way, we can enlarge and change the size. So one thing we're gonna do at this point is select the icon and do Object, and then Path, and Convert to Path, so that right now we have like a full path editable like a normal shape basically. Okay, so now let's zoom in a little bit, and we're going to position our icon. Actually, first of all, we need to decrease the size a little bit. It's a little too big, so about this size. Then we're gonna move it all the way to the top where we have our line and put it down by 30 pixels. And also from the left side, which is already 30 pixels, it seems like. 1, 2, 3, yeah. Now we're gonna add some text. We're just gonna duplicate this and probably reduce the size to about 20 pixels. And obviously rename it. Okay, so we're gonna select these two layers, oops, and group them together. I'm just gonna rename the layer folder. And now with this folder selected, we're just gonna activate the repeat grid feature, and we're going to drag down this handlebar so that we have 5 menu items. And now if we hover in the space between the items, we can change the space between them. About this should be good. And now we can change the text of each individual item. As you can see, it's not visible fully, but we're gonna fix this very soon. Okay, to fix that, we just need to drag the handlebar here again and change the space like this. Okay, so now the full text is visible. Let's see how it looks. Alright, so now what is left to do is we need to change each individual icon, and to do that we're just gonna ungroup the repeat grid so that we have individual menu items that we can change separately. And actually I just realized that somehow I removed the username up here, so let's just duplicate this and fix that. Bump up the size a bit, and here it is back. Sorry about that. Alright, so let's go back to our icons. We're going to remove this one and instead we're gonna grab the icon that we have here, the bubble one, and we're going to select the union layer group that we have here. We're gonna copy it, come back here, and we're gonna paste it. Actually, let's rename it as well. I got pasted up here, so we're just gonna grab it, drag it down. We're going to resize it to about the same size of the other icons and change the color by picking the same one that we already have. Alright, for my matches we're just gonna grab the same icon that we have here, the art icon. So once again, copy and paste. It's been pasted here. Let's change the color right away so we can see it. We're gonna select this icon, remove it, grab this one, make it smaller, and just align it properly. And actually we need to include this icon within the same group, so which is here. And let's do the same for the bubble icon, which we left out, and it's down here next to messages. Okay, so the next icon to get rid of is the one for favorites, and instead we're just gonna get this star here, which we used previously. Gonna copy it and paste it back here. Let's change the color. Resize it a little bit and align it again, and also include it in the same folder. And now the last one is settings, which once again we need to grab from Font Awesome, and we're gonna look for some cogs. There you go. You just select it, come back to Xd, select the text tool, paste it, and once again change the font to Font Awesome, and there we go, you have this nice little icon. So we're gonna select the existing one, drag this up. First we need to convert it to path, and then we're gonna resize it. And now we're gonna align it to the other icons on top and rename the layer and move it back down to the proper folder. Looks quite good. Actually, let's select all our menu items and move them down a little bit like that. And one other thing I just realized is that we kept the border for this white panel here, which we need to remove. So let's relock the layer, and we need to change the name of the artboard. And as a final touch, we're just gonna create a little section at the bottom here for our logo. So we're gonna draw a rectangle. We're gonna change the color to our pink, remove the border, and make it a little bit thinner to about 70 pixels. Alright, so we're gonna move back up to our home screen. We're gonna grab the logo, select it, copy it, and paste it back down here. Let's just make it a little smaller. And we're just gonna center it like that. Alright, so our sidebar menu is done, and I guess I'll see you in the next lecture.